Eric, we're seeing you here in Divorce Bait, which I think was completely hilarious. I was telling Vanessa the other day, there's those movies where you get like the little laughter tears where you're like,
Right.
okay, no, I'm doing it. I can't. It's one of those movies. How was Samuel Gray originally described to you?
Well, that's an interesting question. Well, I've worked with Christina and Patrick a handful of times on different projects over the years, so we've they've been close to me as friends and like family. So she always comes up with interesting ideas and characters for me. So this one was described to me. Well, first it was describing kind of this sort of like artistic, sort of like photographer, artsy photographer guy that has this like sort of posh understanding, but he's got this goofy kind of arrogance to him. And she says, "I think you're perfect for this role," when she was writing it. And I was like, okay. And then they upped the ante because, for people that have not seen it yet, since it's coming out tomorrow, she's like, would you be into like really being challenged and like getting kind of messed up in this movie? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, she didn't even really tell me. She's just like, well, like if you get hurt a little bit, kind of trying to show off, kind of like just really making yourself like ridiculous. And I said, of course. I was like, let's do it. Like, I don't care how ridiculous. I'm all about the challenges, and I'm willing to take it as far as I can. And I think we pushed the envelope with it, taking it that far. So I was like, yeah. So I didn't even know some of the stuff. Well, it shows in the trailer where I get stabbed with a pencil in the leg. Initially, that was actually just supposed to be the hot dog smashed in my face. So like when I go to like kiss her, she like just responds with the hot dog smashed my face. So ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise was gonna be everywhere. But then last second, I think
You're like, let's up the ante and physically harm him.
exactly. They're like, how do you feel about getting stabbed in the leg with a pencil? I'm like actually stabbed? And they're like, no,
And I was like,
Eric,
no, 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 no,
actually
not
stabbed.
great, but
So no, it worked
thank
out. It
you.
was so funny because we did the first take and she was like, yeah, boom, bam. And I was like, she just like, just go with it. And I just like, ah! And it was just funny because everyone was like, what the heck? And it just, we went on for it. And then I don't want to ruin anything in the movie and the scene, but what goes on from there is pretty ridiculous. So I loved playing Samuel. I thought it was a lot of fun, and Vanessa was amazing to play opposite too. And actually, everyone in the cast was fantastic. Justin did an amazing job. All of them. Everyone, just from the directing, the writing, the producing, editing. I mean, we're thrilled about this film. It exceeded my expectations. I thought it was going to be a home run anyway. I thought we really nailed something. But when I first saw the rough cut, I was like, oh my God, you guys, you really have something here. So I was thrilled.
Well, Alexis and Marco have chemistry, but Alexis and Samuel have history.
Yeah.
Is that what keeps him coming back once, or is that what brings him back once he finds out she's getting a divorce?
Well, I think that their relationship is, as it's exploited throughout the film, is sort of like, the relationship that could have been or should have been, or the one that got away, sort of thing. And I think they had this physical sort of chemistry as well. Younger, obviously years before. It's something that I think that he always, lusted for. And I think I took any shot I could. And again, Samuel has this bit of arrogance that kind of precedes him in a way where he was going to take that chance if he had the chance. So he kind of played his cards a little bit and saw if he could. So yeah, I think both of them have. I think there's always that someone in life that captures you at a certain point in your life. It may not work out, but you always kind of maybe, what if it could have worked out, and it didn't work out. And I don't know, times people get a chance to like revisit that, and if they do, you never know how it's going to end up. So I think Samuel was just taking that chance. But again, he has this bit of like, I'm going to win sort of mentality, and he's a show off. So yeah, I think if you collaborate those two, I think his thought process was to try to get her back. But we'll see what happens. You've seen it. I don't know.
It's such I have to talk about that pencil scene because we did
Yeah,
bring it up. And Vanessa told me there was a bit of room to improv in those moments as
right.
well. And it sounds like the entire scene was maybe improv on the fly as well. talk about
I'm
filming
trying
it
to
and the
remember.
process.
I, I'm trying to
Excuse me.
remember how much was improv. Yeah, I think because it changed so last second, it was like, where are we going to take this? You know what I mean? So obviously, when people see the film, Samuel enjoys pain, oddly, and we took it there. It was weird because it wasn't like, it was supposed to be like, okay, a reaction. Maybe, obviously I'm going to scream. I have a pencil dug into my thigh. But then they took it in such an odd direction to where, he's kind of like a guy that likes that sort of dominant pain. Maybe a mild 50 Shades. I don't know. It was interesting where we took it because it became very like we just kept going. And I just remember filming it and everyone was just dying on the ground, like, what the heck is going on? And it was just like she just kept pushing it. I'm like, dig it, it hasn't hit the bone yet. Like, just keep going. So it was yeah, we took it to the next level of sexual preference. I don't know. It was really interesting. But yeah, no, we had a blast doing it, really. And then we were trying to figure out if we were going to make, a lot of blood come out of the leg. Just it was like, basically just more the impression of like that's their history. And she was, the way she says like, oh, you like this, and he was like, yeah. So it was just like kind of bringing back those moments between them. So I kind of think it played out really well. I think it actually played out better than the hot dog in the face. I mean, it would have been sort of cliche. I actually am glad that we did that and we ran with it. So I was dying when I first saw it. I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious. So no, we had a lot of fun. And it was mostly improv, I think, that part. And then obviously we did it a couple different times. So at that point,
Sure.
yeah. But the first take I remember was definitely improv, and that's where they're like, no, 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 do that, do that, do that. So that's what we did.
Was that one of your more memorable scenes to film, or are there other scenes that truly either challenged you or hold a special significance for you?
All the scenes were great filming them. Again, going into scenes, you kind of like get a feel for each scene when you're starting them. So regardless of the fact if you've worked on them and you're rehearsing them, you don't really get this momentum until you get in the swing of things, and then you start to see like what's feeling natural, and you just kind of just go with it. And that kind of like lays out the sort of the idea of where the scene's going and the comedy of it, I guess. I mean, that's one of my favorite scenes. I think the scene on the bike when I'm taking her on a date, bike riding, and what happens from there is probably my favorite scene, just because of what happens to him and how much of a show off he is, and it obviously didn't end up in his favor. It was really ridiculous, and that really what happened. The funny part is when we filmed that, I'm allergic, I guess, to like mulch and like grass and whatever they had sprayed in this mulch. And I remember laying down in it, and I was like, "Oh shoot!" I had like hives all over me. It was everywhere, and I'm like, "They're like, why'd you lay in it yet?" I'm like, "Well, I'm literally living in the character. I'm like in the mulch because we were shooting one of the scenes with me already down." And they're like had to run to like CVS to get like Benadryl and like put it all over me. And then I lay down in it again. And they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm just
The
like,
things we do for our art, Erik.
huh?
The things we do for our art.
Oh my God. They're like, Jesus. So it was the whole arm. I was itchy. I was just like this. But we worked it out. But yeah, they're like, "Erik, please do not lay down in the mulch again." The makeup artists have to keep like covering everything up. So that was probably my most memorable scene. I mean, they're all great. And then we had to learn to dance a little bit, learn how to do the bachata, which I was scared, excuse my language, shitless at first because I'm not a dancer at all. But we had rehearsals like, a month before, 3 weeks before, kind of leading up to it a couple times. And I actually think it turned out pretty good. It turned out really good, actually. It was a really cute scene. So I don't know which one's my favorite. I would say, I don't know, because they're all vastly different. But I think they like kind of like build up to what happens at the end. So it's kind of funny. Uh, yeah, I don't think people expecting what they're gonna see what happens to me, but pretty funny actually. Now I think about it.
We'll talk about working with Vanessa Vasquez. I think the two of you are so good in this one.
She's amazing. Vanessa actually you know, super talented actress, really beautiful girl, really smart, um, just really intelligent when it comes to, well, life in general, but just a perspective of an actress and like, her capabilities, where she can take things are really far. I mean, I was the first time I worked with her. I'd heard about her before. I'd known of some stuff that she's done, but when they had told me, I was excited because when we all did the table read, everyone had chemistry off the top, just even through the computer. But working with her, really, I mean, how it came out on screen. But how that's how we felt when we were filming. But it's like weird. It was interesting because sometimes you'll film something and you'll be like, oh man, that was great, blah blah blah. Sometimes you see it, not that it doesn't ever meet your expectations, but I don't know. This really it exceeded on top of how we felt because it felt great, but how it turned out, and I owe that to Patrick and Christina and everybody in the post on this movie because they really did a phenomenal job piecing this together, and the comedy's timing with it is really like epic. Like I really think they really nailed this film. So no, I had a great time working with.
Agree.
I actually
Agree.
I'm working with Vanessa again. I'm in pre-production on a movie I'm doing called A Beating Heart that I'm starring in. It's a psychological thriller horror that I brought Sybil Shepherd on board as well. I worked with in the past in a movie called Being Rose. So this will be my second film with Sybil. I've cast Vanessa to play my wife in this new movie. So I can't say too much anything really about it yet. We're still in the works of everything coming together, but we're close to basically being in pre-production. But it looks like we're going to start early next year, around first quarter of next year, March, April time. But yeah, I brought her on board to play with her again in my next film. So that's how I feel about her. That I literally want to work with her again. So that's I'm a big fan, and I'm proud of her.
What do you think it is about Divorce Bait that's just going to make it such a fast fan favorite comedy that people are going to go to? I mean, I know why I enjoyed it. I think, like I said, those are the scenes are those, laugh tears that you get
Right.
from just really bellowing with goodness. What do you think it is about Divorce Bait that's really going to make it such a fast fan favorite comedy?
Well, I think it's not your typical rom com at all, and we knew this going into it. When this was pitched to me from Christina, she and I know where they like to take the stuff, and I know her sense of humor. But when she had read me the synopsis on this and the idea of this, because I have a movie that just came out that's pushing the envelope called Starfucker about Hollywood. That's a dark comedy pushing every envelope. So to be honest, when I first read this, I was like, oh my God, that's almost on the same level of raunchiness as my film Starfucker that's coming out, which we thought we really pushed the envelope. It's a different sort of perspective because it's about Hollywood and it's this, whole idea of this character in Hollywood and coming up and what you'll do to make it. But this perspective, the raunchiness is still there. So I said, okay, you add raunchiness with rom-com. This day and age, it's weird because, people are sensitive, but then they're not sensitive. So if you find a group of people that just want to be like, I don't know, get this fresh new look on a comedy and are willing to laugh and go the ride with you, then I think they're going to love it. I mean, I can't find too many reasons why someone wouldn't really relate to this film in a way. It's kind of like just a getaway for the rom-com understanding. And we just pushed the envelope. We weren't scared. You can't go into these things scared. And you can't apologize for what you've done. So I think people are just going to like that we took that extra step, because playing it safe is great and all, but where our world is today, everything you play safe and you see the outcome sometimes. Sometimes you just got to push it, and someone likes it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. I mean, I don't think we did anything that people haven't seen before. I think the thing is that we just kind of told the story within that understanding and then raised the stakes a little higher. So where people, that's the all factor, where people are like, oh, wow, they actually did that. They actually said that. People are scared to say certain things. We weren't. So I think that if you influence all that together, I think most people will enjoy it. I mean, I really enjoy it, and I'm proud of them, everybody that was a part of it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's seeming that people are are relating to it and liking it. So I'm really happy about that.